In this lesson, we show how to edit material textures externally in image editing software. The option to edit externally is available in the image editor for all material textures. But before we can edit, we need to connect our image editing software. For this lesson, we will use Photoshop. We go to Preferences, then Images and Colors. In the Image Editor field, we click Browse and navigate to the location of Photoshop on our computer. We are using Windows, so we select the Photoshop .exe file in the Adobe folder under Program Files. Then we click OK. Next, we select the material we want to edit. In the Context view, we select the map we need to edit in Photoshop. Let's select the jersey cotton material and the diffuse map. We click on Edit in the Image Editor. This action automatically opens the image inside Photoshop. Note, this only applies if we are using PSD or image files such as JPEG or PNG and so on for our materials. In Photoshop, we are then able to make any changes we want. As an example, let's use the brush tool so that we can see clearly the changes made. Once we are done, we need to ensure that the image is flattened. Then we save the file. If we do not merge the layers before saving, clicking Save doesn't update the image in VStitcher. We do not have to merge the layers if the original file was a PSD file. If we use a PSD file as our material map, all the layers in the file are available when we use the Edit Externally feature. VStitcher automatically loads the changes and a pop-up message displays indicating that the image has been edited. We click OK and view the materials now. The changes we made in Photoshop have been implemented. If we need to make further amendments, we can continue to edit the same Photoshop file. We would use History to unmerge the layers again before editing. If we need to revert to the original image, we use the History feature, reload the original file, and save it. One thing to note about using Edit Externally, after we have clicked the Edit Externally, we need to be careful not to undo the action in VStitcher, as this would sever the link between VStitcher and the file opened in Photoshop. As we can see here, after we undo, we try to save the Photoshop file to update the image in VStitcher. It automatically does a Save As instead. In this case, we need to close this Photoshop file, then go to the map in VStitcher and click Edit again to reload the image in Photoshop. Any material map can be edited externally. The Edit Externally option is very useful for different scenarios. Let's walk through some of the common use cases. For example, if we have added a new fabric and notice some issues with the tiling or need to touch up the normal map, we can edit the map externally. Then, after touching up the image as needed, we save the update. This looks much better. Edit Externally can also be used to check and adjust materials added onto our garments. A good example of this would be when adding artwork washes to our garment. We can add in a wash image, a PSD file, to the garment. Then we edit the wash in Photoshop while visualizing the wash effect in the 3D window as we make changes. This is best done with two screens so we can see both windows at the same time. We make the changes we need. Then we click Save and the wash is automatically updated. This way we can continuously make changes until we are satisfied. This method is also how denim washes are commonly added to denim garments. Let's also edit this edge assignable trim. We want to have more variation to the frayed edges. Thus we need to edit the trim to make it a much longer image with more variation. We click to edit it in Photoshop. Here we can add in another existing image to the current file and adjust the crop size to fit the newly added image. We can also crop the image to remove any extra spaces in the background of our trims and seams if needed. Once we are done, we merge the layers since it is an image file. Then we click Save and view the changes in VStitcher. Since we made a new trim, we could also save it to our library. We do a Save As, and save this image in our library for future use. With Edit Externally, we can also steal maps from other materials. For example, we created a new fabric print in Photoshop. Then we want to add this print, but require a normal map as well to create the fabric texture. We can select the fabric with the maps that we need, then click Edit. In Photoshop, we save as, and save this map as an image file to be used with the print we created. Before we end this lesson, we wanted to show what happens if we instead use a vector file for our maps. If using an AI or SVG file for our material, clicking Edit Externally automatically opens Illustrator instead of Photoshop. For instance, this scene was added as a vector file. Now when we click Edit, the file opens in Illustrator. This way we can continue to work with the vector file to make further edits. There are many ways we can use Edit Externally in our workflows. The examples above are only some of the use cases. You can be creative and figure out how this option can help you in your own materialization workflows. For more information, visit our Help Center at support.browseware.com.